Let's go, bro.
There have been some major developments going on with Veve. We got KYC getting rolled out, the web app coming very soon, along with many other features just on the horizon. One of those being the Master Collector program. With how much the Veve landscape has changed, not just Veve, just the overall market in general, that be stocks, crypto, NFTs, anything, we're gonna take a new look at it through the lens of all that going on. And I'm gonna point out what I think is the most important, the most worthwhile, and things that I think maybe won't be so worthwhile. And maybe you can pull away some strategies or some tips as to how you can prepare for when this program does get rolled out. What's going on, guys? My name is NFT Flenny, and thank you very much for joining me today. I just want to make a quick announcement. I'm getting a haircut very soon, so this will be the last video with all of this flow going on. So if you like it, enjoy it while it lasts. If you hate it, then be on the lookout for my upcoming videos. We aren't going to waste any time. Let's just jump straight into the article. I'll show you guys and I'll break it down for you. So here we go, Master Collector Program Volume 1.0. So there have been previous versions. It is subject to change. So take all this with a grain of salt. So here's a quick little rundown of what the program is if you have no clue at all. So the Master Collector Program is a new loyalty program available to all users. Not yet, but when it is rolled out, it will be. Designed to reward active Veve collectors. Through the MCP, collectors can level up by being an active Veve collector, completing objectives, all while gaining benefits and rewards in a quest to reach the highest level of Master Collector. So here's a summary. I'm going to touch on the main points of these. I'm not really going to cover every bullet point in here because some are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll be touching on what I think is the most important. Points will be awarded retroactively to all Veve users. I really like this aspect because I really enjoy the fact that they are rewarding early adopters, users who have been around for a long time, and people who helped grow the app from the ground up. They have mentioned rewarding, the early adopters before. Besides the inherent advantage of investing in these early, especially when they were super cheap, like in the very beginning, besides that, they have not really given us many tangible rewards for being an early adopter. So I think this is a great way to reward us for that. And I could really imagine these points adding up big time, especially if you've been in it for over a year. And if you've been going pretty hard in Veve for that long, these points are probably going to be building up like crazy. The next point that I wanted to touch on is this right here. Collectors level up by earning points from in-app activity. Now this might sound pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but I think this is massive. And the reason is, this will automatically give every single Veve collectible utility. Now we are always talking about how important utility is for the value, for the adoption of these NFTs, of these digital collectibles. And this right here, like I just said, provides utility for every single one. The reason being, anything you hold will give you points. Sets that are now really cheap, really easy to complete, those will be great, easy ways to stack up Master Collector points, which means that there'll be more people competing for them, which means that they probably won't be as cheap as they were before. And like comics that go below retail for 2 or 3 gems, those will be easy points to build up for the Master Collector program. So if they really do a good job of making this program worthwhile, I could see it rising the whole tide of the entire Veve market, because the cheap stuff will just be super easy to rack up points, which you can then use to get other things that could potentially make you money or get you new things that you just want for your showroom, for your collectibles, for your app in general. And in just a bit, we'll be going over what these points will do and the benefits that you will receive from racking up these points. I really think that this is a genius idea by Veve because they are giving every single person on the app an incentive to buy, hold, and trade all these collectibles. Next up, collectors can earn one-off points and or daily recurring points. So I'd imagine if you've been on Veve for a while now, you've probably already unlocked or earned most, if not all, of the one-off points, because that's things like buying a collectible, completing a set, posting in the feed. I would imagine most of us have already done a lot of those things, but I think this is really important for new users because when you come into the app currently on Veve, there's not too much to look at. Got the market, but almost everything in the store is sold out, and a lot of things are really expensive in the market. So if you just get the app and you don't have anyone guiding you or really explaining things to you, it can be pretty intimidating and you might not know where to start, especially if you're not comfortable spending tons of money on digital collectibles. I know when I first started Veve, I thought it was ridiculous that I would spend 50, 80 bucks on a digital collectible, but look where I am now. So I think once people get past that mental block, the mental barrier, then I think it really opens them up to be a lot more accepting and much more willing to participate in the Veve ecosystem. So giving people one-off points and objectives and tasks to complete can get their feet wet and get them more comfortable within the app, and it will make them more likely to understand the app, get the full experience out of it, and keep coming back. For example, I told my buddy about Veve. He downloaded it, came back the next day, And he was like, yeah, it was pretty cool. Everything was sold out, but you know, the stuff looks pretty cool. And I was like, oh, did you look at the market and stuff? He's like, market? He had no clue what I was talking about. All he did was open the app, stay on the first tab, scroll through the store a little bit, saw everything was sold out, and thought, like, yeah, I mean, it looks cool, but there's not too much to it. So I think that guiding new users in the direction of how to get their feet wet will be massive. Even if it's just a $5 purchase, I really believe that'll go such a long way. Moving on. Once the required points are earned, the collector will proceed to the next level. I love the fact that they've broken this up into levels because it gives people a clear objective, it becomes addicting, and it becomes something to keep working for, keep striving for, and keep it coming back into the app. And you'll be able to spend these points on various features and products, which we will also cover a bit later in this video. And what's cool is that spending points does not affect your level or rank. So you don't need to feel like you have to hoard your points, that you have to save them up, or only use them for the best possible time. You can spend them freely on whatever you like, and your previous progress, all the work that you have put in, will still remain as far as your ranking and your level goes. I think this is important because it will incentivize people to continue to use the app, and it'll just create more activity within the market, within the app, within everything. So we just talked about the leveling system. There's also a ranking system, and again, we'll cover this more later, so I'll say that in a bit. So now we'll be talking about how you can earn points in the first place. And to sum it up, the main way you'll be doing it is just by simply holding collectibles and comics, completing sets. So here are some of the one-off points that we mentioned. Like I said, a lot of us will probably already have this done as soon as it comes out. We'll have these completed. But what's really cool and what will really rack up from the retroactive points is the daily recurring points. So every single day, without us knowing it for the longest time until they announced this, we were building up points in the background, which I'm really excited about. I can't wait to see what my balance is looking like once this program comes out. Collectibles are very straightforward, plus 1 point for each collectible owned. If you hold duplicates, they progressively get less and less. And then there are also bonus points for rarities, low editions, and for holding sets. So the bigger the set is, the more points you get per day. And again, same thing with collectibles. If you hold duplicate sets, you earn slightly less with each duplicate set that you own. And something very important to note for the comics is that there is no limit on the common and uncommon for the daily recurring points. So you will get the full points, which is 0.25 for common and 0.5 for uncommon. So if you hold 100 common comics, you will be getting 25 points off those 100 comics every single day. I don't know about you guys, but that kind of smells like an opportunity to me, especially with these comics going for, 2 or 3 gems in the marketplace. I don't know. Do your own research, make your own decisions, but I could see that being a really easy way to farm some master collector points, especially like I said with how cheap they are. And if you want to figure out the best way to get the most bang for your buck when it comes to racking up these master collector points, Cherry Charts, which I highly recommend, has a master collector point maximizer where you can see how you can get the most points for the least amount of gems. As for earning points through in-app activity, this seems pretty bare bones to me right now. This doesn't seem like a very good way to really rack up a bunch of points. There's a limit of 25 points per day, and it includes things like daily login, sharing, commenting, liking, market listings, and more activities will be added in the future. Also, something important to note is that when it comes to the retroactive points, the number of points received will only be calculated based on the number of collectibles and sets the collector owns in that time. So it sounds like, correct me if I'm misunderstanding this, but it sounds like these daily logins and sharing, commenting, blah, blah, blah will not be included in the retroactive points. Again, in the comments, let me know if I'm wrong on that one, but I was thinking, oh, maybe I should just be going in the feed every single day and just commenting and liking something, but I don't think that's how it's going to work, and you might not want to spend your time doing that if it's not good for anything. So I mentioned earlier that we're going to touch on the levels and ranks and what those mean, so we are now at that stage. Levels and ranks are different. As I mentioned, levels are the same criteria for everybody, meaning that once you hit a set amount of points, you will rank up accordingly. It doesn't matter what other people are doing, but the ranking is a sliding scale. It's dynamic based on the percentile of people. So if an influx of new users come in and they are going ham collecting and they rack up more points than you, you can get dropped down a peg, drop down a level once they pass you up. Or again, if Veve starts slowing down, or if there's less users and you're not really necessarily doing a lot, but other people aren't catching up to you, you could remain at the top even if you're not really getting a bunch of points. I really like that they broke it up this way because it gives people who are more casual still some progression to work toward and things to unlock, things to strive for, and they won't feel like it's hopeless trying to compete with the whales or with the people who spend their entire paycheck putting it into Veve. But at the same time, having the ranking system does provide those whales, does provide the competitive people, the really dedicated people on Veve, a chance to stay competitive, earn a bunch of rewards, and really be rewarded for their loyalty, for their dedication, and for their investments. I really like having both options, and it's going to fit the needs of basically everyone on the app, casual, hardcore, and everywhere in between. So here are some benefits to leveling up, and I think these will be pretty good incentives to actually want to make people level up. So you'll get things like milestone 3D level badges, expanded profile, not sure exactly what that means, premium market listings, I'll touch on that in a second later, expanded AR features, again, not exactly sure what that means, drop raffle access, that's something I really want to talk about. That's going to be probably the main point of making this video about revisiting. I really changed my opinion on this, so I'll touch on that soon. Accessories, exclusive content, and level-based chat rooms. So people can decide if these things are worth their time, worth their money, worth their investment. But just in general, the better the rewards, the more likely people will be to want to level up. But there is another very important factor when it comes to the rankings and the competitiveness of this program that I think will have a ripple effect across the entire market. So let me explain. So if people are trying to claw their way to the top, trying to remain at the top, to be in the top percentile, you'll need to hold pretty much every set, I would imagine. There are whales that hold every single set, hold every collectible, and even duplicates of all those things. So if you want to remain at the top, you'll need to be holding very, very rare sets that only a couple hundred people can hold, like the Powerpuff Girls set with Donnie, for example, or the Aston Martin, or things like that, to really get that slight separation that you'll need when you're competing with people with pretty much unlimited money. So here's what that'll do. That will keep so many collectibles, especially the rare ones, off the market, and people will not want to be giving up their sets because they won't want to lose the set bonus, the daily recurring bonus, the collectible bonus. They'll be losing a lot of points if they break the set. So if this program is worthwhile, which I have no doubt the team will successfully deliver on providing that, if it's worthwhile, I could see so many collectibles becoming extinct from the market, and people who want to remain at the top, they will be holding on to those things for dear life. Or if they do want to sell them, it will run a much higher premium because the trade-off you'll be getting for losing a set, you will want a lot more gems in return. So I think this could have a ripple effect across the whole market, make collectibles more scarce, and in turn, more valuable. I mean, I already think they're more valuable by the fact that you can earn points that can be then put into other rewards within the app that could potentially make you more money. It could compound on itself. So I think this whole program is great, but I think that's a really big factor that maybe not everyone has considered, or it didn't even hit me for a while too. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out, and mainly about the rarest of the rare. I'd be curious to see whose hands it stays in and how willing they are to give it up or not. So here we are at the drop raffle. This is something I really wanted to touch on because, like I mentioned a second ago, I changed my opinion on this probably the most since when this article first came out. Back in the day, if you're around, you'll know. If not, I'll explain it to you right now. Around November, December, and for a few months after that, drops were basically impossible to get. It was ultra competitive, whether that was because of bots or just an influx of new users or both. It was extremely difficult to get any kind of drop, even a comic. And so I thought, okay, if you want to have any chance at getting the best of the best, getting the best collectibles, the first appearances of the best characters, you will need drop raffle tickets. Otherwise, it'll be dang near impossible just to go for the drop normally. But since then, whether that be users dying off or Veve purging some bots, or again, maybe it could have been a combination, drops are almost a lock to get if you press the button within a reasonable time. And even then, we have seen collectibles not sell out for hours, even sometimes over 24 hours, if not days. So the landscape has changed big time. That's not to say that it can't go back to being super competitive. I actually think that once the market picks back up and once new users start coming on, it will get that competitive again. But for right now, the drop raffle is not as important as I once thought that it might be. So I'm going to really quickly continue to touch on a few more of the things that come with the program, such as accessories and then premium market listings. So accessories, I'm honestly not too excited about. I think they can be cool. They'll probably look cool in the vault or for AR pictures or something like that. But as they mentioned, they will generally be non-licensed, high edition items, allowing collectors to trick out their showroom. So for me, I'm not a huge showroom guy. I'm not super big on tricking out my collectibles, and I personally feel like my points could be better spent on other things, such as a drop raffle potentially, or just anything else that they come out with other than accessories. I think it could be really fun, like I said, but I'm not going to be going for this too hard, but it will have a place and people will enjoy it. And as for the premium market listings, again, this is something I'm not super excited about. Really, the only thing I could see it being really useful for is if you're trying to really market a low mint number or a special mint number that might get buried or might be kind of hard to find. But if you just want to list a collectible for the floor and you want people to see it, a premium market listing won't really do you any good, because the vast majority of the time when people want a collectible, they're just going to buy the cheapest one. So if you list it for 20 gems higher than the floor, but it's a premium market listing, people are just going to block that out of their head and they're going to go for the floor anyway. You know, like when you see ads and that kind of thing, or sponsored search results, I know at least I think, okay, this isn't exactly what I'm looking for. This is just getting thrown in my face because they want me to see it, not necessarily because it's the best thing for me. So again, I think special mints and low mints are really the only important thing about premium market listings. And as for the Master Collector Program Pro, this will be a paid monthly service, or if you're in the top 6 ranks of the Master Collector ranking system that we touched on, the sliding scale one, you will get this one for free. And so here are some of the features. And this is, the first one is I think the coolest one, and that is you get a small percentage bonus on all points earned. So you can imagine if you have a massive collection, you're getting set bonuses, recurring bonuses, low mint bonuses. If you're getting all these points, a small percentage will go a long way, especially when you're earning these points every single day. So I will definitely be trying to get the Master Collector Program Pro as soon as possible. I'll pay for it if I need to, or hopefully I'll be within the top 6 ranks relatively early on in that. So I'm really looking forward to this percentage bonus. I think auto bid will be really nice. You can buy what you want without needing to be on the app all the time. Exclusive content, I think this would be huge. I think this would be a really big motivating factor to get into the program or to be highly ranked in it, because I think the exclusive stuff will be more valuable. I think that you can leverage your points to gain access to things like this that you can potentially sell on later, or things like that. You can burn collectibles for points. So I don't really see people burning many collectibles for points unless the points you get are very, very high in return, or if what you can spend the points on are extremely valuable. Maybe if you want to burn a little 2-gem comic, that could potentially be worthwhile. And then also that might make those comics, those cheap collectibles or comics, more valuable, because if people are just consistently burning them for points, maybe they'll end up being really rare and over time become more valuable. I'm not sure on that one, but we'll see. Free drop raffle tickets per month, so it sounds like you get more on top of what you earn on its own. And then renting collectibles. This is something that Dan Crothers has really touched on a lot, and he seems really excited about it. I'm not really sure how it's going to play out exactly. I think it's only really useful if there's utility attached to these collectibles. I'm not sure how many people are going to want to pay money to take an AR picture with them just for a day or two. You know, I'm sure there's some people, especially if it's for a really cheap price, but this is one of the main reasons that I'm hanging on to dear life of my grails, such as Walt and things like that, because if I can rent this out, it could potentially pay for itself over time, and I could be just making money to hold collectibles, and I still own it. But if I'm not using it every day, if I'm not using an AR or whatever, I could let other people enjoy it as well, and I could potentially make back my investment. So I'm really excited about renting out collectibles, but again, it'll need to be worthwhile, and I don't think people will rent just to rent. So those are the main features I think are the most important from the Master Collector Program Pro. So in conclusion, what are the main takeaways, and how successful will this program really be? I think the main caveat is that the rewards need to be worthwhile. Users will need to be compensated well enough to put their time and effort into ranking up and into getting into a higher level. It's just human nature to want to be competitive, to want to be the best, to want to reach the top. So I think this program off the bat, just having these rewards, these things to strive for in general, will already bring so much more excitement and give people many more reasons to continue to come back to the app. And with that being said, I think the main benefit of this program will be the retention that we see from new users. I know this program rewards collectors and people who have a lot of collectibles, but honestly, I think the biggest difference we'll see is new users, because as I mentioned before, they'll have tasks to complete, they'll have things to do to help get their feet wet, help them get familiar with the app, and help them get familiar buying NFTs. I know it can be really intimidating to drop a lot of money on a digital collectible, especially when you're not completely sure about the technology or you're not very convinced. Chances are, if you're watching this video right now, you already are pretty deep into Veve. You already know how good this app is and how much potential it has. But I think that a program like this will really help bring new users along. It'll help make it feel like a typical app that they're more used to, or maybe like a video game that they're more used to, of just leveling up, ranking up, completing tasks, and having things to come back every single day. Because once you get started, I know from personal experience I can say this, once you get started, it is so easy to get hooked. And I know a lot of people that I introduced Veve to, once they got their first big collectible, they have been coming back to Veve ever since, or at least, you know, hopping on for the big drops or keeping up with the news in general. So do I think that the Master Collector program will be worth it? And I think that's a pretty subjective question. I think it really depends on your interest, what you're trying to get out of this app, and what your goals are overall. For someone like me who's really heavily invested in Veve, I think it'll be worthwhile. And I've been completing sets pretty much since day one, or as soon as I heard about the Master Collector program as even being an idea. I've been trying to prepare for it. It's been taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to. So honestly, I probably could have invested my money in better ways and could have gotten more blue chips, more grails, but instead I was chasing sets. But hey, if this program is really, really fruitful and it rewards the users very well, maybe it would have paid off for me in the long run. But as I mentioned, this is a very, very important thing, that the rewards need to be worthwhile. If the best thing you get is some cool accessories, I don't think people are going to be dropping extra money or spending extra time in the app to really strive for those things. But if, for example, the exclusive content that we get is extremely rare and extremely valuable, then it will 100% be worth it to try to reach the upper echelons of this program. So overall, I wouldn't say change your whole investing strategy based on this program. I would still say do what you like, collect what you like, and of course, only invest what you're willing to lose. But I'm not your parent. Do whatever you want at the end of the day. These are just my thoughts, my opinions. If you have some disagreements or if you think I'm on point with something, drop down in the comments. I love to hear all your guys' comments. I love reading them. Love to interact with you guys. I'll wrap it up right here. Thank you very, very much for watching. My name is NFT Flenny. Like if you liked it, dislike if you disliked, comment if you got something to say, and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. I really, really appreciate you guys watching. I'm out of here. Peace.